Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm Emma. If you're here today, you probably know some English. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. You can read books, understand movies, and you might even have a strong grasp of grammar. But when the moment comes to speak, something happens. Your mind goes blank. The words you know so well seem to stay locked inside your head. You can't start a conversation. So, what is the biggest problem for English learners? It's not grammar, it's not vocabulary. The biggest problem is speaking. You can listen to English for hours, you can read books in English, but when it is time to speak, you feel frozen. Does this sound like you? If it does, I want you to know that you are not alone. This is one of the most common and frustrating challenges that English learners face. But the good news is we are going to fix it together, starting right now. The key to unlocking your speaking skills isn't another app, another vocabulary list, not even pronunciation drills or another grammar course. It's something much simpler, yet infinitely more powerful. It's about one simple skill that changes everything. It is the art of asking. Here's the good news. By the end of this journey, you will be a good asker. And a good asker always becomes a great speaker. I'm not here to give you a complicated theory. You will have simple, powerful methods to start speaking English with more confidence, ask questions without fear, and churn your knowledge into flowing conversation. And the best part? We're going to start practicing together right now. All right, before we begin, take a moment to settle in. Maybe you have your favorite coffee or tea beside you. Maybe you're sitting in a quiet spot where you can focus. Make this a moment for just you. You're not here to pass a test or to be perfect. You're here to become stronger, little by little, in speaking English. Relax, breathe, and prepare yourself for something simple yet transformative. Listen carefully and be ready to engage. And if it helps, feel free to turn on subtitles in your own language. Following along in your own language will help you understand the core ideas much better at first. They're there to support you. Later, you can come back and watch without subtitles. Now, the first pillar is asking is the beginning of receiving. And you might be thinking, ask? Ask who? Ask what? I understand. But today, we're going to explore how this one small word can completely change your relationship with English. How it can turn you from a passive student into an active, confident speaker. Let's begin with a profound, foundational idea. Asking is the beginning of receiving. Receiving is automatic. Think about your ears. Your ears are always receiving sounds. You don't have to try. They just work. Your ability to learn English is the same. Your brain is ready to receive. It is ready to learn and understand. The problem is not your ability to receive. The problem is that we often fail to ask. If you don't ask, you cut your practice in half. Every time you keep your question inside, you guarantee zero progress. In life, if you want something, you must first ask for it. You cannot simply stand on a street corner and hope to find your way. You ask for directions. You don't wait for food to magically appear. You ask for a menu. Asking starts the process. And this idea is bigger than English. The contribution of asking questions is not just for learning a language. It contributes to life itself, no matter what language you ask in. Think about it. If no one had ever asked a question, would science exist? Science began when one person looked at the sky and asked, "Why is it blue?" Or looked at an apple falling from a tree and asked, "Why did it fall down and not up?" Asking is the engine of progress for all of humanity. This truth is deeply embedded in cultures all over the world. In Turkish, there is a wise proverb: a baby that doesn't cry doesn't get milk. The English equivalent is just as powerful. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. If you do not open your mouth to ask, you will receive nothing. Learning English is no different. Anne Burrell once said, part of being successful is about asking questions and listening to the answers. That's the exact formula for English conversation, too. Many learners spend years studying the roots of the English tree, memorizing grammar rules and vocabulary lists. These are important, of course, but they never try to pick the fruit. Speaking English is the fruit. Asking is how you reach for it. Think of it like this. You can watch 100 hours of cooking shows. You can learn the names of all the ingredients. You can memorize every recipe. You are studying the roots. But until you go into the kitchen, pick up an egg and ask, how do I crack this properly? Or why did my cake not rise? You will never become a cook. The asking, the doing, that is where the real learning begins. Asking a question, saying a sentence, this is how you start to pick the fruit. It begins a special process in your brain, a mental and emotional process. It connects the words you know to the muscles in your mouth. It connects your knowledge to the real world. So you must start the process. When you ask, you are not just a passive learner anymore. You are an active asker. You are moving from studying the roots to picking the fruit. Asking is the knock on the door of conversation. Imagine conversation as a house. If you don't knock, you stay outside. But if you knock, even with imperfect English, the door opens. Suddenly, you're inside, discovering stories, sharing experiences, and building real connections. When you ask, you don't just get answers. It helps you get practice. You activate your brain. You push a button that turns on listening, thinking, and speaking all at once. Each time you ask, the machine gets smoother. Every fluent speaker you admire is not just good at answering, they are masters of asking. Thomas Berger put it beautifully. The art and science of asking questions is the source of all knowledge. To understand why asking is so critical, let's use a powerful analogy. Think of the English language, like any other language, as a giant, beautiful ocean. It is vast and full of everything you could ever need. More than enough words, phrases, and conversations for everyone. Success in English is not in short supply. It is not like a special cake where only a few people get a slice and then it's all gone. No, no, no. English is like a giant ocean. There are more than enough words, phrases, and conversations for everyone. The ocean is there for you. So, if the ocean is so big, what is the problem? The problem is that most learners approach this magnificent ocean with a tiny teaspoon. Now, picture yourself standing in front of it with a teaspoon. You dip in, take a few drops, and leave. That's what most learners do. What does a teaspoon look like in speaking and conversation? Someone asks you, "How are you?" You say, "Fine." That's a teaspoon. Someone asks, "Do you want some coffee?" You say, "Yes." That's a teaspoon. Someone asks, "Did you have a good weekend?" You say, "Okay." That's a teaspoon. These answers aren't wrong, but they're tiny. You're standing before an infinite ocean of possibility, but you're only collecting a few drops. The problem isn't the ocean, it's that you are not asking for enough. Your goal is to trade your teaspoon for a bucket. What does a bucket look like? A bucket is a full sentence. A bucket is a real question. Instead of just fine, you can say, "I'm doing great, thank you. I had a really productive morning. How about you?" That's a bucket. Instead of just yes, you can say, "Yes, I would love some coffee, please. Could I have a little milk with that?" That is a bucket. Instead of just okay, you can say, It was very relaxing. I watched a movie about a historical event. Have you seen any good films lately? That is a huge bucket. See the difference? We need to trade our small habits for bigger ones. So, how do you start filling your bucket? You start by understanding the critical difference between two types of questions: closed questions and open questions. A closed question is like a door that slams shut. It can usually be answered with a simple yes or no, or a single word, like these questions. Do you like your job? Are you from Germany? Was your trip nice? These questions kill conversations. They are dead ends. An open question, however, is like a door that opens into a beautiful garden. It invites a story, an opinion, a feeling. It cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. Open questions are your superpower. They begin with words like what, why, how, when, and where, and they give life to your English. Let's transform those closed questions. Instead of, do you like your job? Ask, what do you enjoy most about your job? Instead of, are you from Germany? Ask, what's your favorite thing about living in Germany? Instead of, was your trip nice? Ask, what was the best part of your trip? See the magic? The first question gets a fact. The second question gets a story about Christmas markets, beautiful castles, or amazing Bavarian bread in Germany. If you learn to ask, suddenly you create 10, 20, even 50 sentences without realizing it. Asking multiplies your speaking. This is how you create real flowing conversations. You open a door to stories, not just facts. Here's a small exercise. Repeat after me. What's your favorite food? Good. Now, where are you from? Nice. And one more. How do you spend your weekends? These are simple, but they are open questions. They don't give yes or no answers. They invite stories, and stories mean more English, more practice, more connection. Compare this with closed questions like, do you like pizza? Or, are you from Spain? These are not bad, but they end quickly. If you want longer conversation, always turn a closed question into an open one. Instead of, do you like pizza? Ask, what kind of pizza do you like the most? Instead of, are you from Spain? Ask, what is the best thing about living in Spain? See the difference? One stops the talk. The other keeps it alive. Now, let's be practical. How do we ask in English in a way that feels natural? To master this art, you need to practice two powerful strategies. The first is asking with intelligence. The second is asking with faith. Let's explore both. Asking with intelligence doesn't mean you need to be a genius. It means being clear, simple, and specific. Don't mumble or overthink. When you are clear, the conversation flows. Think of yourself as a detective, and the English language is your case. You are searching for the truth of what a word means, the truth of how to build a correct sentence, the truth of understanding a conversation. A detective cannot solve a crime by just looking. They must investigate by asking intelligent questions. Where were you at 9 p.m.? Did you see anything unusual? Each question uncovers a new clue. For you, the English detective, your questions are your tools. What does this idiom mean? Why do you use on in that sentence and not in? Can you say that a little slower? You learn more with every question you ask, and each answer is a clue that helps you solve the case of speaking fluent English. As the great ocean explorer Sylvia Ayre said, the best scientists and explorers have the attributes of kids. They ask questions and have a sense of wonder. Be curious. Ask who, what, where, why, when, and how. When you ask with intelligence, you are not just practicing English. You are participating in the discovery of knowledge itself. This is the mindset you need. Be curious. When you ask with intelligence, you get better results. Goals become like a magnet. They pull you in that direction. And the better you describe them, the more specific you are, the more they pull. The better your questions are, the better your conversations will be. So ask intelligently. Now, the second one, asking with faith, is different. This is about your attitude. It's about believing like a child. You must believe you can get what you want, just like a child, not like an adult. Adults worry too much. Many learners ask a question, but secretly panic thinking, what if they speak too fast? What if I don't understand? What if I say it wrong? So, you stay silent and you walk away. That is the adult skeptic. A child would just point and try to ask. We need that same faith. Always remember what the coach John Wooden taught. Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. You may not be able to speak perfectly, but you can ask one question. Focus on what you can do right now. So the formula is this. Make plans like an adult, but believe you can get what you want like a child. The world admires the doers, the people who try. So ask with faith. Believe that you can do it, and do not let the fear of mistakes stop you. This brings us to a fundamental rule for life and for English. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. Let me share the pub door analogy. Imagine you're outside a pub and you want a drink. The lights are dim and you're not sure if it's open. You have two choices. Option A, you say, it's probably closed, and you walk away. Option B, you walk up to the door and you try the handle. In option A, you have a 100% chance of failure because you locked yourself out. In option B, you have a 50-50 chance of success. It might be open, it might be locked. But by not trying, by not asking, you deny yourself the chance to connect. You are the one locking the door on yourself. The beginner is the one who dares to try the door. One of the biggest obstacles is the fear of mistakes. Many learners think, if I make a mistake, people will laugh. But let me tell you something powerful. Nobody cares as much as you think. In fact, most people will admire you for trying. Don't forget, mistakes are the fuel for growth. Sometimes your mistakes can even make the conversation more interesting. Imagine you accidentally ask, "What is your hobby, chicken?" instead of, "What is your hobby?" The other person might laugh kindly, correct you, and suddenly you both share a funny memory. That's not failure. That's connection. And connection is the true purpose of conversation. If you don't try, if you don't ask, you deny yourself the chance to connect. Think of it's like learning to ride a bike. You fell a few times, right? Those falls weren't failures. They were data telling you how to adjust your balance. Every awkward conversation is just data for your next better one. Remember the words of Albert Einstein. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Mistakes are not a sign of weakness. They are proof that you are alive, learning, and growing. They are data, showing you where you need to adjust. So be proud of your mistakes. They are the footprints of your progress. Now, let's talk about practical methods to become a master asker. Theory is good, but practice is everything. Here are simple, Powerful techniques you can use immediately to transform your conversations. The first is the three-step rule, or the question bridge method, we call. When you don't know what to say, pick a word from the other person's sentence and ask about it. This is the foundation of a great conversation. Here's how it works. Step 1, listen to what the person just said. Step 2, find one interesting word or idea in their sentence and ask a simple question. Step 3, ask an open-ended follow-up question about that word or idea. That's it. For example, you ask, "Where are you from?" They answer, "I'm from Brazil." You don't stop. "Oh, that's fascinating. What is the best thing about living in Brazil?" That step 3 is where the real conversation begins. You are building a bridge from one idea to the next. Listen for an interesting word in their response and build your next bridge from there. Every time you don't know what to say next, you build a bridge with a question. Let's practice this with a situation you might actually face. Imagine someone says, "I traveled to Japan during summer vacation." You hear Japan. Ask, "What was your favorite place in Japan?" He responds, "I loved Kyoto because of the temples." You heard temples. Ask, "Did you learn anything interesting about the temples?" You're building bridges from one topic to the next. Each question keeps the conversation flowing and helps you practice English naturally. The second method is the add-on method. Think of conversation like a dance, not an interview. Most learners try to dance perfectly, afraid of mistakes. But the one who asks questions is the leader of the dance. By asking, you guide the rhythm, the direction, the flow. You take pressure off yourself because you no longer need to give perfect speeches. You just need to be curious. Asking questions is that act of courage. With each question, you lead the dance of conversation. When someone asks you a question, don't just answer it. Answer, add a little more information, and then ask a question back. For example, they ask, "Do you like to travel?" You say and ask, "Yes, I do. I really love traveling. My favorite place I visited was Paris. What about you?" This simple technique extends the conversation, invites the other person to share, and shows you are engaged. The third method is the echo and expand method. This shows you are actively listening. When someone tells you something, echo back the most interesting part and then expand it with a question. For example, they say, "I just started learning guitar." You say, "Guitar, that's exciting. What made you decide to pick that up?" See how this works? You show you are listening and you dig deeper at the same time. This technique builds rapport instantly and keeps the conversation flowing naturally. This works perfectly for English learners. Your study partner says, "I'm really struggling with pronunciation." You echo and expand, "Pronunciation, that's challenging. What sounds are giving you the most trouble?" This shows empathy and keeps the conversation helpful for both of you. The beautiful thing about questions is they work even when your grammar isn't perfect. You can say, "What you think about this movie?" instead of, "What do you think about this movie?" People will still understand. They'll still answer. The connection still happens. Perfect grammar is nice, but real curiosity is powerful. The fourth method is the fantastic 4 questions method, and it further expands to 4 question types. Number 1, the experience question. What was that like? This works for any story someone tells you. They mention a trip, a job, a movie. Ask, "What was that like?" It invites them to share feelings and details. Perfect for English learners. When someone mentions they learned a new language, ask, "What was that like?" When your tutor says they lived abroad, ask, "What was that like?" This question works even if you don't know many words because it's simple but powerful. Number 2, the opinion question. What do you think about that? We practiced this earlier. It works everywhere. Politics, weather, food, anything, people love sharing their opinions. For example, in your English class, when someone talks about a movie or book, ask, "What do you think about that?" Even if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, you'll learn their perspective and practice listening to natural English. Number 3, the future question. What are you looking forward to? Or what's next for you? This creates positive energy and shows you care about their dreams and plans. This is perfect when talking to other English learners. Ask, what are you hoping to do with your English? Or what's your English goal for next year? These questions create connection because you're both on the same journey. Number 4, the comparison question. How does that compare to? This helps people think deeper and gives you rich, detailed answers. It is great for cultural exchanges. If someone mentions their country's food, ask, how does that compare to the food here? If they talk about their education system, ask, how does that compare to schools in other countries? You'll learn so much about the world while practicing English. These 4 question types can keep any conversation alive. But here's the golden rule. Curiosity is the true secret. Don't ask like a robot. Don't interrogate. Share a little of yourself. Show genuine curiosity. When you ask, "How was your weekend?" but you really care about the answer, people feel it. Your curiosity is the food that nourishes every conversation. The person in front of you doesn't need a grammar book. They need your curiosity, your energy, your willingness to connect. Now it is time for your action plan. It is time from theory to daily habit. Let's make this real. Every day, practice asking at least 3 questions in English. They can be to yourself, to a friend, to a stranger, or even to your reflection in the mirror. Ask, what will I eat today? What is the best part of my day? What new word did I learn? Here's what I want you to understand. Most people are walking around feeling lonely, even in crowds. They have stories to tell, but nobody asks them the right questions. When you become someone who asks good questions, you become someone people want to talk to. You become someone people remember. You become someone who makes others feel important and heard. This is especially true for other English learners like you. When you ask your classmate, what motivated you to start learning English instead of just, where are you from? You create a real connection. You both share the same struggles and dreams about mastering this language. Use questions in real life. By real life, I mean things that actually happen to you and people around you. The more you connect your questions and conversations to real life, what you eat, where you go, what you see, the easier speaking becomes. At a restaurant, what do you recommend? With classmates, which part of the homework was hardest for you? With friends, what made you smile today? Each question is a brick that builds your confidence. Aristotle reminded us, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Make asking your daily habit. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Greatness begins with one small action repeated daily. Here is your action plan. First, the immediate challenge. Right now, wherever you are, look around the room. Pick one object, a cup, a phone, a book. Now, form one open-ended question in English about it. For a cup, what do you usually drink in this cup? For a phone, do you use your phone more for work or for fun? Do this now. Even an object around you can create a conversation. This is how you train your brain. You don't wait for big moments. You practice in small, daily ways. You are training your brain to see conversation opportunities everywhere. Second, the daily routine. It means that your progress in speaking will not come from just studying. It will come from asking. For the next week, your mission is to ask at least 3 intelligent, open-ended questions every single day. They can be to anyone, a friend, a teacher, a shopkeeper, or even yourself in the mirror. Ask, what do I want to accomplish today? Then answer yourself in English. I want to finish my report. Ask a follow-up. Why is this report so important? See? You can create a dialogue with yourself to train your brain to think in English. This may sound funny, but it works. Plutarch once said, "The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be ignited." Asking questions is the spark that ignites your fire for English. Start small, but start today. As Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your journey to confident English conversation begins with asking your first genuine question. Do it every day for 1 week, and you will feel a change. Your confidence will grow, your words will come faster, and your fear will shrink. You can watch this video one more time tomorrow. Repetition is the key to success. The first time, you just listen. The second time, you focus on the new sentences and ideas. This is your first step to making these ideas stick. Let's take a moment and imagine something. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine yourself 6 months from today. You have been practicing the art of asking every day. You ask your own questions, you ask intelligent questions, and you do it all with the faith of a child. What does your English look like? Maybe you can have a long conversation with a native speaker. Maybe you can order your food at a restaurant with confidence. Maybe you can understand a joke in a movie. This is not a dream. This is possible. It all starts with the small, daily action of asking. Your 6-month future self will thank you for starting today. So, friends, let's summarize. Please remember, speaking English powerfully isn't about knowing every word or having perfect grammar. It is about being brave enough to ask, to connect, and to grow. Speaking is not a performance. It's a dance between two people who are curious about each other. And fluency is not about perfection. It's about connection. It's about courage. It's about asking. Remember these core principles. Asking is the beginning of receiving. You must start the process. Remember, closed mouths don't get fed. Ask with clarity so your words are simple and powerful. Trade your teaspoon for a bucket. Use full, rich sentences. Use your superpower. Ask open-ended questions. Open questions give you conversations. Ask with intelligence. Be clear and specific. Ask with curiosity, like a detective hungry for truth. Ask with faith. Believe that your questions matters. Be brave like a child who believes the world will answer. Ask with courage, like a dancer leading the steps. Ask often, every single day, even in small moments, and embrace your mistakes. They are proof of your courage. Remember, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. But if you ask, you open the door to friendship, to stories, to knowledge, and to fluency. The world is full of people with untold stories, waiting for someone curious enough to ask the right questions. That someone can be you. Start today, and your future self will thank you for starting today. Go to that beautiful ocean of English, and please leave the teaspoon behind. You deserve a bucket. Keep in mind, the world admires the doers, not the silent thinkers. So start asking and start receiving the gift of conversation. And remember this final encouragement by Zig Ziglar. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Start small today, and greatness will follow. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Keep asking, keep practicing, keep believing, keep growing. I will see you in the next video.